What I found interesting about Meep is she was overall just a caring, wonderful woman that didn't like anything about the Nazis and just wanted to help out a friend of the family, but was actually considered the Franks part of her family. So she was overall just a wonderful, caring person, and all she wanted to do was just help people, and she was willing to risk her own life and everything to do it. Okay.
I play the part of Dennis, Mr. Dussel, who was asked for help and joined the group a little bit later in the time that they spent in the annex. And it's partially about their adapting to me and my adapting to the situation, and somewhat of the tone that I bring to the setting, and that I'm a very serious person, and they recognize that, and they have to kind of adjust to the things that I will think are appropriate and aren't appropriate.
So I portray Otto Frank, and Mr. Frank was a very important individual and a very significant historical man. And he had the fortune, I suppose you could say, of being the only survivor of the family of the ones who hid and then went on to the extermination camps. While I've done a lot of research into Otto Frank, one thing that I found very interesting is that he himself kept a diary. And while it's certainly not as effusive and as detailed as Anne's, it does offer a really good glimpse into what his life was like, especially after Auschwitz, and trying to understand a little bit more about his feelings and how he dealt with his past and the loss of his family, and how he got through Auschwitz. Very inspiring story, and an incredible man. It's a privilege to portray him.
My name's Kathy Frazier. I play the role of Edith Frank, and in doing research about Edith Frank and becoming Edith Frank, I've learned that she has quite a different personality than I do, so it's become a challenge. I have a more optimistic personality, and she's frustrated with the situation and feeling depressed, although happy that they found a place to hide and be safe. So I'm trying to take on her character and portray it, and that's been a little bit of a challenge for me, but it's coming right along.
So Margot was a very quiet, reserved person who usually kind of kept to herself, and she was very studious. She always had a book with her, and she was very involved in her studies, and loved like her family, but also she was kind of like in the background and kind of watched everything happen around her. And that's just not much to her. She's kind of a simple person.
I play Mrs. Van Daan. Her real name was Mrs. Van Pels, and she's one of the characters that in the Anne Frank's diary, that some of the names, they kept them the same as the real people that lived these stories, and others she changed the names in the diary. And Mrs. Van Pels is one of those. Her first name was August. Intriguing name. In the script, it's Petronella. So very intriguing names and all the way around. She was very much the way I view her, as she was very lively and very opinionated and very a strong woman, as much as she liked fluff, if for lack of a better word. But she and I have been intrigued with the levels of emotion in her as a person too. I think that we all have our highs and lows, and she definitely had that in her life. You can tell from some of the things I've read about her.
In one of the documentaries that I watched based on the Diary of Anne Frank, I saw there was a scene in it where they're all sitting down to have dinner and like something starts dripping through the ceiling, so Peter runs upstairs and it's his cat has peed on the floor. And no one knows this until Anne walks upstairs and she sees it and she makes a big deal out of it, and it's just really it's a kind of like a cute and funny scene, and it's a kind of like a nice relief from all the stress of the dark things that are happening at the time, so it kind of like allows a little bit of relief. It's cute.
So I play Mr. Kraler, who is one of the really two people that is very instrumental in hiding them for about 2 years or so from actually getting taken to the camps. And it's been a great experience for me because here I am originally having auditioned for the show. I'm raised Jewish, and this is a show about two Jewish families hiding, and I am one of the characters who really is not, who's actually going out of their way to hide. And what I love is, in real life, I'm very passive. If I did anything, against something I disbelieved, then it would be passive-aggressive, and that's really what Kraler and Meep are doing. They're not, taking guns or weapons and fighting them. They're taking it upon themselves just to go in and hide them and do their own thing, to kind of protest in their own way. So I love that because I can relate to that, because you really don't see that very much anymore. You see protests in the streets nowadays, and so many things that are just kind of depressing to see.
Peter Van Daan was a very shy, almost clumsy teenage boy put into a very awkward situation, and in that situation he found his family. He had feelings for other people, for girls that he's never had before, and it was just it was almost like a fairy tale story for Peter Van Daan when he lived in the attic. One of his lines from the play itself is, "I didn't have much going on for me on the outside." So he definitely feels a change when he's on the inside with the rest of them.